Hey, today I'm talking about 3 movies that were all personally recommended to me by people at my cousin's wedding. I may have been very drunk that night and luckily remembered some of those things. Yay! The names of those 3 movies are Witness for the Prosecution, Brigsby Bear, and Kate. First up is Witness for the Prosecution. This is a 1957 courtroom mystery thriller, and it is amazing. I love this movie so much. I don't remember who recommended me this movie. I'm sorry, person. But I do love the note that I wrote down to remember it because we were in the Appalachian Mountains where there was no cell service, and I'm used to speech to text because I'm a horrible speller. So Drunk Charlie just had to guess how to spell things, and this is what he wrote for the name. I'm amazed I actually found what the real title was. The basic premise of this movie, it starts off kind of as a comedy, and it's a really solid comedy. It's all from the perspective of this lawyer who recently had a heart attack and he can't really take any big cases, but then he gets a big case and we just get sucked into the mystery of it. It's a murder mystery thing. I won't give away too many plot details because the movie explicitly asks people to not spoil the end of this movie. So I will definitely not spoil the end of this movie, and I'm also going to be kind of vague with the rest of it too because it's a mystery and it's fun to figure out, what's going on. The comedy elements of this movie are great, and they're mostly at the beginning, but it still works overall tonally. But the mystery elements of this movie are just incredible. Like, I definitely had theories going along, and I did kind of call a couple things, but at the very end, once we get like all of the biggest big reveals that happen, I legit was like, wait, what? What? And I was just so blown away. It was amazing because they set up the end. They set it all up perfectly. It makes sense logically and they built to it great. And script-wise, this is an incredibly tightly written story. It's based off an Agatha Christie short story from I think the 20s, and that eventually got turned into a play, and this movie is based off the play. But still, it's so good. It's so amazing. If you even kind of like mystery movies, go for it. Do not let the age of this movie dissuade you at all. It is incredible. You are in for a treat. I would recommend this movie to everyone though. It just really works and has such a satisfying, incredible ending. Watch this movie. You are in for a good time. Next up is Brigsby Bear. This is a 2017 movie. It's written and directed by some SNL guys and recommended to me by Caleb. I think I only talked to him once that night, but he was a nice guy and he wore a bow tie. So thanks, Caleb. I don't know if you're watching this. The basic premise, I'm just gonna read what it says on Amazon Prime because I think that's a good way of describing what happened in this movie without spoiling a lot of stuff. It reads, Brigsby Bear is a TV show produced for an audience of 1, James. When the show abruptly ends, James sets out to finish the story himself. This is a very lighthearted, wholesome movie that's very strange and weird. I'm kind of mixed on my emotions with this movie because I feel like I really enjoyed it, but I didn't really like it, which is weird for me. Usually those two things go hand in hand. I think it's trying very, very hard to be a unique movie, but at the same time, it's kind of not that unique. It's very reminiscent of Blast from the Past, Kimmy Schmidt, a little bit of Death of Smoochie, and some people online even compared it to Lars and the Real Girl, and I can see that comparison. But as a quick aside, I crazy love Lars and the Real Girl. You should without a doubt go watch Lars and the Real Girl. Lars and the Real Girl is an incredible movie. You will not be sad. You might cry a bunch though, because I cried so much. That movie, no, it's been like a year and a half since I've seen that movie, and I'm still getting all emotional over that. Watch Lars and the Real Girl. Oh my God, I am really sad though. But yeah, I don't know. This was a cute movie. I definitely enjoyed myself. It ended up going at the top of the liked category. I would recommend this movie. If this looks like your jam, go for it, because it could easily connect with you. It's just weird and strange, yet incredibly wholesome. So if that's what you want to watch, you're in for a good time. And lastly is Kate. This is a Netflix movie starring Mew and Woody Harrelson. The basic premise is it's like every other assassin movie. Like, this is very paint by numbers. This woman who was raised her whole life by a trained assassin is now poisoned, and she has 48 hours till she dies, so she needs to avenge her death before she dies. None of the plot points I was surprised by. You're easily gonna guess all of them. That being said though, this movie does have a good amount of redeeming qualities, with the big one being the fight scenes. The fight scenes in this movie are incredible. Like, it's worth it just for those things alone. And they're brutal too. It kind of got to the point for me where I was just like a little distracted, and then like whenever I would hear fight scenes would happen, it would be like, oh wait, no, pay attention now. Ooh, nice, this is great. So that's kind of how I would recommend watching this movie, is just like, this is kind of like a background noise movie while you're doing the dishes or something. And whenever you hear the fight scenes happening, that's when you should stop what you're doing and pay attention to this movie, because they are incredible. I will also say, I crazy love the soundtrack to this movie. Like, there's a bunch of Japanese songs because it's set in Japan, and like half of the movie is in Japanese, which I loved. But just like every single song that came on, I was just like, oh, what song is that? Oh, I'm gonna save this for later. This is good. So yeah, if you want a good turn your brain off movie, this is definitely it. It's got great, amazing action and a really banging soundtrack. And I also just love the setting and aesthetic of the movie. So yeah, this is definitely worth a watch. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Witness for the Prosecution, sitting at number 17 in the really like section. It just, so good. And then after that, kind of a bit ways down, is Brigsby Bear, sitting at number 120 in the liked section. And that is out of a total of 229 old movies so far this year. And now jumping over to the much smaller new movies list is Kate, sitting at number 39 in the like section, out of a total of 56 new movies so far this year. And that brings the grand total out of all the movies I've seen so far this year up to 285. Also, quick aside, does purple and red work? Like, can you see? Pants. This is maroon and purple. Yes? No?